Assalamu alaikum everyone, and today we're going to talk about gastric motility for small intestine and large intestine. So if you guys noticed GIT, it's really like a series of episodes, right? So you start with ingesting food and you end with defecating the food. And we know defecating might be a new term for you, but defecating means excreting the feces. Basically, when you go to the bathroom, okay? This is defecation. So in this episode, I'll call it an episode because it's like a series. We'll talk about what happens for the food, but we're not going to call it food, it's chyme. In the small intestine, it's called chyme. In the small intestine, and what happens? Can I raise my voice? Guys, is my voice clear now? Is it clear? Like this? Tell me please if it's good now. Is it good now? Okay, okay. Okay, you can stop. You can stop me anytime if you have any questions because I am expecting a lot of questions on this. This topic is. Oh, thank you, Ghazi. So Ghazi is here. Thank you so much, brother. He's the boss, man. Okay. So I'm expecting a lot of questions from you guys because this topic, yes, it's nice, it's interesting, but it's not very easy. You need to focus and you need to understand it more than memorize what's happening. If you understand, trust me, you're good. You've done it. Okay. So as we were saying, it's an episode, the chyme in the intestine. What happens? Okay. So here's an interesting concept, and it's very important in digestion. Now, a lot of us be wondering, how does food go from the mouth to the anus? What drives the food? We know it's muscles and all that, but we're going to talk about this in details. Now, first, we're going to talk about the interdigestive pattern. What is the interdigestive? Inter means between, digestive means digestion. So between digestion, between your first meal and your last meal, there's a space where you don't eat anything. You're just sitting on your laptop studying and you're not eating, okay? You're just sitting there. Now your body has a very, very cool mechanism. Let's understand why and how. These two questions are very important. Always ask yourself why and how. If you know these two, you're gonna ace it. So this is the housekeeping function, or MMC. MMC is just short for migrating motility complex, but this is not the important part. I'll just read the facts. The facts, like, it happens every 90 minutes. It begins 70% of it in the antrum or in the stomach, and 30% begins in the duodenum. MMCs stop at the terminal ileum, and this is just the facts, and it's associated with the motility release. Now, this is just facts, okay? This doesn't help you understand the concept, but let's understand the concept. Why and how. So let's talk about why. And this is why I love GIT. And this is why also fasting is actually good for us, subhanallah. So you're sitting, you're fasting, you're not eating anything. You will start sometimes hearing growling in your stomach. Your antrum will start contractions. And the contractions will go from your stomach or duodenum and descend. The contraction will go 1 contraction, 2 contraction, 3 contraction, keep going until you reach the ileum. As you can notice, here contraction happens, contraction happens, contraction happens, and it happens back to back. And when the last one happens, the first one will begin. So why does this happen? Why? Because this helps you actually to clean your gut. Your gut is just the intestine. To clean it. How does it clean it? So say there's food remnants that didn't get digested. It's just stuck there, right? This will be thrown out into the colon to be defecated. It helps you clean. Another thing it also helps, and this is very important, bacteria. So there's bacteria in your colon. And sometimes, now we know that there's good protection in our body from bacteria because the ileum, if you know, it's a valve, it's like a valve, the elysical junction, it's closed always. And only when it's need to push out stuff, it opens and then closes again. So why is it closed? To prevent bacteria growth from the large intestine to the small intestine. If bacteria grows in the small intestine, guys, what do we call it? You took this and you should know what it is. If you heard about SIBO, SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And this is bad because bacteria should not be in your small intestine. You know what happens if it's in your small intestine? It will start digesting your food and eating from your food and excreting gas and toxic stuff that will go to your blood instead of going to the feces. That's why the bacteria is in the feces, not in the small intestine. Sorry, in the colon, not in the small intestine. In the small intestine, the toxic stuff will enter your blood very easily. There's a lot of receptor and stuff that absorb whatever is in your small intestine. So you have to be careful what you eat and what you put there. No bacteria. So this MMC actually helps to propel all the bacteria, all the food stuff, remnants. You know, if a kid swallows a coin by mistake, خمسة هللة, swallows it by mistake, the MMC will actually help to push it out. So multiple contractions and it will be pushed out. MMC helps that. And this is why, guys, you know, we know fasting, it rests your body, it cleans it. It literally does, subhanallah. So now we understand why it happens, because to clean your gut, and how, by motilin, and when you don't eat. What happens if you eat? Okay, so basically everything I said is written here. What happens if you eat? Now, if you eat, notice this graph is the same as the one before. Okay, this is the same graph. Notice here is one contraction, two contraction, followed. You know, this is the duodenum, jejunum, ileum, right? They go in order: duodenum, then jejunum, then ileum. Okay, they go and they stop, and then they go start another one, duodenum, etc., etc., until you start a meal. When you eat a meal, everything will stop from the MMC. MMC is we said it's a contraction process to, you know, clean your guts. And now, can you explain the previous graph again? Yes, I can, of course. Okay, so I will use the drawing tool. So this is just showing contraction. See, the black bar means there is contraction happening. And MMC, we said, it starts from the antrum or the duodenum. This is the antrum, and this is the duodenum. You know, the duodenum is this thing, goes like a C from the stomach to the intestine. So this is the duodenum, the C. Now from there, the contraction, your body is not eating for 1 hour, 2 hours, say 2 hours. After 2 hours, motilin will go out and it will stimulate the stomach and the duodenum. To what? To start the contraction. Once you start the contraction, the things in the duodenum will go here. Now the jejunum will contract. The distal jejunum will contract, ileum will contract, and see contraction, followed by another contraction, followed by a contraction, followed by a contraction. And it's different times because something happens first, which is the duodenum, and at the end, like at the end of it, what contracts last? The ileum, which is this one. So this is just telling you that the contraction happens in an order, not all at once. If they all happen at once, nothing will happen. You can imagine it. If I contract from up and down together, nothing will happen. But if I contract here, then here, the food will go down. You get the idea? Because you have to wait for the food to go through. I hope that makes it clear. So this is the same graph, and this blue line, the blue thing, the blue bar, this is the peristaltic or segmental, sorry, the segmental contraction when you eat. You know the segmental contraction. We're going to talk about this. So when you eat, the MMC will get interrupted. As soon as you start eating, the MMC will get interrupted. And this contraction happens everywhere at once, a segmental contraction. What is a segmental contraction? Here's a nice picture of the segmental contraction. It's from the lecture, but I will explain it in another way. Okay? So segmental contraction, very important. So say the food is in your intestine. This is your intestine, right? And this is the chyme. Chyme is just your digested food. We call it chyme. Okay. Now I will be explaining a lot of concepts, guys, now at once. If you have any questions, ask, stop me and ask. And you will find that the concepts I explain are found in the slide. So don't worry. Everything I will say is in your slide. So this chyme, what is it doing in the intestine? I need you with me. I need you very focused. It will distend the intestine, right? The intestine is closed. Say this bottle cap is the chyme. It will come, it will distend. See what happens? Distend the intestine. So once it's distend the intestine, there is a short reflex arc. This short reflex arc is from the ENS or enteric nervous system. Which plexus? Myenteric plexus. So this is the myenteric plexus. Okay, there is nerves here and stuff. These nerves innervate. Let me just put a blue for the nerves. Nerves are blue, guys. Okay. This is efferent. Afferent efferent. Okay, afferent and efferent. What will happen? I will zoom in to this again. The bolus. What will happen here? Segmental contraction. This portion and this portion will contract. Wait, let me change the bolus a little bit, make it a little bit bigger because it's a big chunk of food. This will contract, okay? Why is it zoom out? 1 second, I'm sorry. This is the bolus. This will contract. Now, when this contracts, how do I need to go down? Yes, I need to go down from this. There you go. When this contracts, look what happens. So this contracts slightly, this contracts slightly. The bolus is now half here and half here. Now there's another bolus here that also is facing contractions. They're all facing contraction at once. And there's contraction here, contraction here. What is this doing? It's mixing stuff. Okay, it's mixing stuff. Why is it mixing stuff? Why do you think mixing is important in our intestines? So there are multiple reasons. I will tell you why. So we know how by the short reflex arc, and there's also the long reflex arc that we'll talk about later, but just know the short one now. And what does the contraction, guys? Which two hormones, ACH and substance P, SP. For relaxation, NO, nitric oxide, and VIP, okay? And they will interchange. So this portion will relax and then it will contract, then relax, contract, relax, mixing. See, mixing happening. Contraction, relaxation, mixing. This is the segmentation. Now we don't know why this happens. Like, why can't just the food keep going? So there's several reasons why. First reason, longer time for digestion. Longer time. So if we increase the time in our intestines, what will happen? Better digestion. So for better, the soup plus digestion. There's another thing, other than time. More exposure, and if we mix them, we will, when you press on something, there's more area touching on that chyme, right? More area touching on the chyme, which will enhance absorption. So more absorption too. Absorption. Sorry for my handwriting, but which will also increase digestion. Another thing, what if you ate a fatty meal, right? Fats are not easily digested. So you need to mix this very well. But with what? With bile. What does bile do? The emulsification. You took bile, guys, right? Bile, what it does? Cholesterol and emulsifies the fat, breaks down, whatever. So also for bile mixing. Bile, which also better absorption and digestion. So now we know. Segmentation, how does it happen? Short reflex arc from the distension reflex. Why? For the better digestion, right? For better digestion. Now, this is what this is the segmentation. We just explained the segmentation. Peristalsis is quite different. Peristalsis, it's easy, but it's quite different. And it serves a different purpose. The efferent arm causes relaxation. Relaxation to what? See, it depends. Let me explain the peristalsis, and I will tell you what relaxes, what contracts. So this is, again, the intestine. This is the intestine, and this is the what? Chyme. Okay, look. This is the plug. Okay, so we said nerves are blue. Let's put them in blue. This is the myenteric plexus of the ENS, enteric nervous system. Now, your intestine will sense that, there is some distension. Again, distension and chemical mediators. So mechanical is the distension and chemical is the irritants, because there is fat, lipids, and carbohydrates that will stimulate receptors to stimulate the nerves. Once the nerves are stimulated, what will happen? They will stimulate contraction above, which is what do we call the thing when it's closer to the mouth? There is a word for it. I'll check the word later. It's like boral something, or oral, something like this. It's not oral. And there's something for the anal side. Anyway, we'll call it oral side and anal side. For the oral side, what will happen? We want to push this food down. So what we will do? Contract or relax? I need someone to type it down for me or say it in the chat. Contract or relax? Caudal, yes, caudal. That side, thank you, caudal. This is the word I'm looking for. But we'll just contract, exactly, thank you. This will contract, we'll put red for contraction. So this, see here, it contracts. Why does it contract? To push the food down or towards the anal side. What about below the bolus or the chyme? What will happen? Contract or relax? I need someone to also type it for me. Contract or relax below it. Relax. Thank you. So we'll put relaxation in black. We'll just put that it's relaxed now. And this is the peristaltic movement. Just contract before, relax after. Can someone tell me really quickly which substances are used to contract from the nervous system? Two things and two things for relaxation. Quickly, quickly, guys, in the chat. Easy, easy, very easy. For contraction, ACH, thank you. For relaxation, okay, and substance P, VIP and NO for relax. MashaAllah, amazing, guys. That's so sweet. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Okay, yes, you guys get it. Thank you. This is for relaxation. This just keeps going until your food is out. And that's the peristaltic movement. Very simple, very easy, right? It doesn't need anything. Now you will ask me what is the BR gradient. This is another thing that helps food go from the intestine to the ileum. What is the BR gradient? It's also a simple concept. Again, it's a simple concept. So this is your digestive tract, and this is the ileum. Starts from the stomach. I know it's beautiful, guys. The drawing, I should be an artist, but I just showed medicine, okay? So this is the duodenum. It has the highest gradient of 12, and the lowest gradient is an 8. So if we say that cycles of contractions are more up and less down, this will contract more, this will contract less, then the food will be going towards which area? The anal area. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me? If yes, then we're done for the concept. Yes, we're done for the concept. Someone told me yes. So, yes, the concept, this one is just very easy. That's it. For this concept, that's it. It's just telling you it goes from higher gradient to lower gradient. Okay? And it's quite different in the large intestine, but we'll talk about the large intestine after we finish this lecture. Okay? Okay. See, guys, this is telling you, I also forgot to mention this. It's telling you this is in normal situations. In abnormal situations, retroperistalsis will happen. What is retroperistalsis? When there is an irritant or something, the retroperistalsis reflex will initiate the vomiting, what we call as vomiting, right? So to just contract the opposite way when there is something your body is not accepting, and usually it's outdated food or something that your body just can't handle, just contract the opposite way, and that makes sense. If we contract downwards or higher gradient to lower, then I'll go to the anus. But if it's the opposite, then we will vomit it. But inshallah, then it won't happen. Vomiting's. Oh yeah, orad. Orad is the mouth, and aboral is the anal. I forgot to tell you this. Orad is the mouth, aboral is the anus. So you'll find the contraction up, relaxation down to move the food down. Okay, this is very easy. Okay, I know a lot of you guys think that this concept. There's a question, guys. Or the duodenum get enough food so the other would go. Now, this is not retropolistic. I know what you're talking about. This is called the gastrocolic reflex. When the duodenum is fed up with a lot of food, it will just close the sphincter. And the distension will call which nerve? Vagal nerve. The vagal nerve will go to the brainstem. The brainstem will come back to the pyloric sphincter and contract it. And this is not retropolistic, it's just a reflex. But thank you for mentioning this. Anyway, it's not mentioned here, the enterogastric reflex. It was not mentioned up, so are peristalsis and segmentation occurring at the same time? Yes, they can occur at the same time. Because don't forget that your body or your guts are always working. They're always doing something because there's always food in your intestine. You know that food takes a lot of time to get digested and to get into the anus. It takes like from hours to days, to 2 days max. So yes, they can occur at the same time. Now let's talk about the reflexes. Short reflex, we talked about the peristaltic reflex. We are going to talk about the defecation reflex in the next lecture. And for the long reflex, there's gastroileal, gastrocolic, and enterogastric. Enterogastric, which I just explained, when there's a lot of food in the duodenum will be like, okay, enough stomach, stop sending me food. So let me draw you something here. So this is the brainstem. And this is nerve coming in, nerve going back again, and this is the stomach. Okay, this is the stomach, this is the duodenum. The duodenum will be fed up from how much food there is. So it will send a signal to the brainstem to tell it, okay, I'm full. Which receptor? Mechanical and chemical. So guys, all the receptors we're going to talk about are mechanical and chemical. Mechanical, how? Distension. Chemical, how? Irritants. What irritates the stomach? Fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. Most is fat, least are the brainstem will send back a signal to the pyloric sphincter telling it to contract. So we said red for contraction, this will contract. This is the enterogastric reflex. Okay. Now, why is also GIT interesting and I like it? See, this answer will be in gastroileal and gastrocolic reflex. Now, we know that, when you eat, you go to the bathroom immediately, and then you defecate. But we know now, mashallah, as all of us are medical students, we know for a fact that food does not get digested in 5 minutes. It will never. So how do I go to the bathroom after 5 minutes if I just ate, right? And the food will take like hours to be digested. How does this make sense? Why? Okay, simple answer. Simple answer. Let's again draw the whole digestive system. I'll try to actually draw it properly this time. This is the stomach, duodenum, just intestine. I said properly, but I couldn't. Anyway, just you get the idea. And this is the ileum. And the end, after the ileum, we have the large intestine. This looks like stomach, almost. Okay. So let's talk about first the gastroileal reflex. And here is why when we eat, we defecate after like few minutes. Although we know for a fact, again, food does not get digested in minutes, guys. It needs hours, sometimes days, okay? So you eat food. You go eat a bit shawarma, you eat 2, 3, 4 sawarikh, and then they'll go to your stomach. Your stomach will do what? Distend. You guys agree with me? It will distend. Distension will activate what? A short reflex arc. Now we'll talk about the short reflex arc and then the long one. Let's put the brain stem here. Again, this is the brain stem and it's innervating everything, okay? So the short reflex arc, what will get released? Gastrin. You guys have heard of gastrin? I want someone to tell me if you took gastrin or not. Have you guys heard of it? Gastrin is very important. Yes, that's great. So you know what gastrin do? It has a lot of jobs. One of which is the reflexes that we're going to talk about. So long reflex, short reflex, and gastrin. So the gastrin is a hormone, so it goes to the blood. Let's put red for blood. Goes to the blood, and there's blood vessels everywhere. Blood to the ileum. So now when you eat, your body, or sorry, your stomach is distended, and there's also chemical receptor sensing that there are some fats, some proteins, some carbohydrates, irritants in general. First, the gastrin will go to the blood, and then it will go to the ileum. Ileum where? At the end of the ileum. What will happen? And this is the gastroileal reflex. The ileum will get a signal from gastrin. Gastrin will come to the ileum and be like, yo, ileum, we're full up there, man. You gotta empty your stuff. We're full up. The stomach is full now. Empty your stuff. Protrude your stuff. What will happen? What will happen to the ileum? Ileum will be like, oh, okay, I got you, bro. Ileum will open up and throw all the feces out to the colon. See, to where? To colon. Here's a nice little story. So now you know why when you eat, after 5 minutes, you go to the bathroom. Because your ileum will start throwing stuff. So we'll eliminate the old food. Yes, salam. Now, this is what I was waiting for. Exactly. You will eliminate the old food. Exactly. There's old food in the ileum. There's also in the colon. There's also in the colon where? Transverse colon. There's also in the descending colon. There's everywhere. It's full. You're so full of feces, all right, man? And now the gastrin, it told the ileum to throw its stuff out to the colon. But the colon, it also might be full. And now we come to the gastrocolic reflex. Colic for colon, gastrocolic. Now let's talk about the long reflex arc because it's also involved in the gastrocolic. So the long reflex arc will be like, okay, there is distension, there is some substances there, like everything we said, lipids, fats, carbohydrates, whatever. So it will go the ileum again, give it some VIP, some nitric oxide, open it up to throw the stuff, and it will also give the ileum somewhat ACH, acetylcholine, and substance P to contract. So the ileum is like this, and this is closed. It will open and contract to push things out. See, it's closed, and this is just relaxed. It will contract and open this to push things out to the colon. Now, in the colon, also it's innervated. Let's remove these. It's also innervated. Now, in the colon, there is also sensing that we're now eating food. There is gastrin in the blood, And there's what? Distension and chemical irritants. This will go via the nerve, come back to the colon. And what will it do to the colon? It will activate the mass movement of the colon. So the colon will now contract and move everything down to the descending colon. The descending colon will do the same thing to the sigmoid. And now you get the defecation urge. You're like, oh man, I just ate 5 minutes ago. Like, why do I need the urge to go to the bathroom suddenly? You know, the food is just, it just got down into my stomach. How is it so fast? It's not so fast. It's in fact taking so long. You will defecate this food maybe tomorrow because it's shawarma. So I think it will take time. There's a lot of lipids, so it might take tomorrow. So tomorrow you will feel it in the bathroom. Okay. So this is what's happening, and this is very fascinating concept, guys. This is amazing. Like, can you blame me for not loving GIT? I mean, sorry, for loving GIT. You can't. Look at this. Now I had this answer for my whole life. It's actually funny. When my school teacher in high school, he told us, guys, do you know that you don't digest your food immediately? I'm like, whoa, are you serious, man? There's no way. I go to the bathroom after 5 minutes. You probably cap. I'm like, GIT told me, no, man. You just were too numb to know that this concept is why you go to the bathroom immediately. Fascinating. So now when we go to the lecture, you'll find that everything is based on the same concept, guys. There's nothing new. I basically explained most of the things, okay? I explained most of the things. And if you have any questions, you can stop me at any time. I'll just go through the lecture to make sure that you guys know what Dr. Peter wants you to know. So short reflexes, we said a local response via the enteric nervous system. Afferent, efferent, contract, relax, to push the food, gastrin, the blood. Now there's afferent sensory, we said this. Chemomechanical receptor, we also said this. They are present on the mucosal epithelium, of course. The of ENS, they activate peristaltic reflex, mixing, and peristaltic to move things. We talked about this. I hope I covered it. If you still have any questions, you can ask me. Now, this is the enterochromaffin and 1 cells. They are the mechanical receptors. And if you're questioning, you're probably asking, what is casein? What is, glucose? What is oleic acid? So this is protein for my gym bros out there. They love this. This is glucose, sugar, carbs, whatever you want to call them. And this is fat. It's a fatty acid. Okay, it's not an acid, it's a fatty acid. So it's lipids. It's just telling you that this will elicit the most response. When you guys know the fat takes a long time to be digested, and it needs so much effort to be digested, which is why it's not the best for your body, but you need a few amounts. So just telling you that this is eliciting the most chemical response, which is why when you eat a very fatty meal, you just feel the urge you want to explode the bathroom, although the fatty meal is still not digested yet, but it's a very strong chemical irritant to your mucosa or the chemoreceptors. That's clear. I hope it's clear. We can move on. It's telling you the same thing. I did not talk about serotonin and cholecystine. They are products from the nerve. So they're hormones. These are hormones. They go to the blood. They also do effects, which are segmentation. So they contract and they relax. So when there's a lot of serotonin, which is 5-HT, it means that there's a strong chemical irritant. Same for CCK. Okay. Now this again, it's repeating the same concept I explained, mechanoreceptor and chemoreceptor. So mechanoreceptor happens when there is distension or deformation, because when it's deformed, it will be pressed more. Chemoreceptors because it's irritating the mucosa. So this will elicit effects, which are the effects we talked about. And if we read, it's just telling you the facts here, telling you that what the serotonin comes from 775. You know how to understand this? Serotonin, it's the happy hormone, guys. So food is happy. This is how I memorize it. I'm not sure if this is actually relevant, but that's how I memorize it. Although dopamine is released when you eat food, but that's another topic. Anyway. Peristaltic reflex, we'll talk about this. That I just told you that serotonin, it elicites the peristaltic reflex, contraction, relaxation, more serotonin or more fat or more distension, more whatever you eat, there will be a stronger reflex to give space for the food you eat. That's why the more you eat, the more you will feel the urge you want to just go. Okay. We also talked about this, peristalsis. Distension is the signal for peristalsis. When distension happens, serotonin is also released. Serotonin is released, and the sensory nerves in the ANS will do what? Excitatory and inhibitory. Excitatory where, or like contraction where, close to the to the mouth. Inhibitory close to the anal. Inhibitory means relaxation. Excitatory means contraction. This is exactly what I drew for you, which is when the bolus is here before it is contracted, after it is relaxed, the neurotransmitter we talked about ACH, substance P, VIP, and NO. And this activates the cells, the EC cells and one cells to further continue the movement toward the whole intestine because it's pushed to here. This will distend here and chemical receptors push again, push again, push until you defecate. Guys, if I'm going too fast or you feel like I need to stop somewhere that you didn't get, I will stop. But this is all I thought about this at once. I gave it a one shot and I talked about all of this. Okay, this again is telling you that close to the mouth or to the oral side, there is ACH and substance P that will activate the muscle contraction. And to the anal side or descending, there is VIP and NO, which will do what? Relax, which is exactly what we said for peristalsis. We'll keep repeating this over and over. And which receptors? Mechanical and chemical receptors. Chemical irritants, lipids, carbohydrates, proteins. Mechanical receptors, distension or deformity, but physiological deformity, not a disease. So giant contractions. Now what is giant contractions? Giant contractions, they happen in the colon. Giant contractions because the colon is big, so it needs a very big contraction to move the big feces you've been storing all week, man. Not all week, few days, not all week. All week is too much. All week will be a disease we'll talk about later. So big contraction, they do not happen in the small intestine. If they happen in the small intestine, this means something's wrong. So normally they do not happen. In the small intestine, the peristalsis, it's fast, or not fast, it's faster and it's weaker. Okay? Because the small intestine, it will not hold like big contractions. It can't. So it's also telling you that the ANS or autonomic nervous system, which I talked to you about here, yes, here, this is the from autonomic nervous system, right? It enhances, it helps peristalsis. So ANS is the main, which is the short arc reflex. Let's put it here, short arc reflex. Long arc is by ANS, which helps. Okay. Okay, we're here again. There's nothing we didn't talk about here. Can keep moving on. Okay. Now the elysical junction, which I also talked about. In the ileum, there's a junction, but they call it a valve. Now, why is it not a true valve? Because it's actually a sphincter. Sphincter is a muscle that opens and closes. The valve is like your sink. When you open the thing, the valve will open, right? When you open, you know what I'm talking about, right? The sink, the valve will open, and then when you close it will close. This is the valve, but it's not a valve. This is a sphincter. But they call it a valve because, as I told you, it's like the breaking point between ileum and colon, or it's like the stopping checkpoint, because everything after this is stop, and whenever it wants to throw stuff out, it will open, throw, close again. Why does it close? To what, guys? Wait, there's a question, but guys, tell me, why does it close? Why closing it is important? I mentioned this. I want to make sure you guys catch it. Okay, we said there is bacteria in the colon, and bacteria in the intestine is not good. So why does it close? I just gave the answer away. I will answer the question, but first I need people to answer my question. So to prevent SIBO, guys, right? Do you agree with this? To prevent SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth. If the junction is closed, nothing can go back or retrograde, you know, to come back to the ileum. Nothing will come back. Because if bacteria is back, we said that's a problem. So there's a question here saying, so mainly the ANS contributes for long, ANS for short. Oh, yes, the long arc helps. Yeah, the long arc only helps. But with it, we achieve maximum efficiency. So we need both. But it's mostly by the ANS, yes, that's true. Okay. Zone of high pressure sphincter to prevent retrograde of bacteria or anything from the colon. And it regulates the flow, as I told you, because it's closing whenever it wants to open to throw stuff out, to regulate the flow, to throw stuff out. And this is what I talked about. This is just telling you that the pressure in it, how much should it be to prevent retrograde? Do you have to know the numbers? No, you don't. At least that's what Dr. Peter you know, tells us always. Like he tells us this small details, like the numbers, you don't have to know them, but just know the big stuff. Know that the elysical junction is very important for the flow of chyme and for preventing SIBO. This is very important. As a zone of high pressure. Zones of high pressure, I think you know the three zones of high pressure. It's like the esophageal sphincter, pyrovics. Just know the sphincters, all of them. They're all important. Yes, this is what I just said. Sphincter is always constricted, prevents SIBO. And reflux of whatever you just throw in the colon, you don't want it to come back. And yes, this is what I said. Chyme enters the this is the ileal reflex, the gastroileal reflex. Chyme says in ileum. When ileum wants to throw it away, it throws it by the NS and the extrinsic nerves. Retrograde flow of SIBO, it prevents that. So as you can see, we're repeating stuff. I told you everything at once, and we started repeating again. We're done for the first lecture, by the way, guys. This is the last slide. Do you have any questions? You might have noticed that I went quickly through the slides, but that is because I explained everything initially here. So this was like when I told you everything here, this is basically what you need to know. Okay. Everything here was just repetition and different facts, small facts, like telling you this is the highest pressure, this is that. But you understand all. Can you please the long? Yes, long reflex. Of course, I can repeat. Yeah. So long reflex, from the name, it's long because it involves the ANS, autonomic nervous system. Let's write that here. Autonomic nervous system, the brainstem. So eat shawarma now. We eat anything, burger, shawarma, whatever you like. It goes to the stomach. The stomach will get distended. That distension will initiate two arcs. Short reflex, we talked about this. Long reflex arc. The long reflex arc will sense that there is mechanical and chemical irritation, mechanical distension and chemical irritation from the stomach. So it will go back to the ventrum, then do what? Elicite a response. What is this response? If we want to talk about the response that happens in the ileum, the response will be relaxing the sphincter and contracting the ileum to push food out, or the chyme, to push the chyme out for space, the food you just ate. This is the long reflex arc. Okay? It's just like the nerves from the ANS acting. The short reflex arc is from the ENS and the gastrin. This is the short because it happens locally or like shortly. It doesn't travel through the body. Did you get this? Long reflex arc is just the autonomic nervous system. Nerve going to the brain, coming back to the ileum. If not, I can repeat for you. If you didn't get it, it's fine. I can repeat. Did you get it? Oh, amazing. Okay, that's very nice. All clear. Thank you. K5, whatever. Or we're good. We can move on. Can you guys hear me? Okay, do you want to break or we can move on? Because it's 2 lectures, so I thought maybe you might need a break. It won't take long also because a lot of concepts we discussed, we're going to be discussing again in the large intestine. Move on, all right, and move on. Okay. Motility of large intestine. So now, episode small intestine is done. Let's recap. So we have the peristalsis, we have the segmentation for mixing, peristalsis for moving food. We have the reflexes, to do what? To empty a place for another food content. This is simply what we just explained in this episode. This is like a recap. And now, motility of large intestine. This is the next episode. What happens in the large intestine? We already talked about some, which is the defecation reflex, but we're going to talk about another things. So, similarly, in the large intestine, there is also segmentation and peristalsis. But we don't call the segmentation here segmentation because the large intestine is not segmented. It looks like a haustra. Haustra means pouch. Let me not say. Haustra means pouch. And if you took from anatomy, each one of these is a haustra. Oh, Yazan, thank you. Thanks, Yazan. He's the best man. Thank you. Yazan Ghazi, they're all my heart, man. Thank you so much. Okay, so house is a pouch, guys, and this they call it connect segmentation or house trick contractions. Why? We said we need to know why and how. Okay, very important. Now, how it's repeated. It's the same. Let's first write the put thing large intestine. Why we said why? So the food. Let's continue from the last episode. The food came in into the large intestine. This is the bolus. This is the piece of bolus you just ate. This is not today's shawarma. This is yesterday's pizza that you ate. Okay. This tension will happen again. Short reflex arc will elicit contraction. Long reflex arc will go to the brainstem, come back, contraction. But this contraction is different. It's a house-like contraction. What does it do? So you know that there's also bolus here from yesterday, maybe yesterday morning, maybe the day before at night. There's chyme everywhere in your large intestine. Now, what happens is, as soon as they feel that there's this tension going on, this means we need to do what? To move these to accommodate more chyme. So what will happen? The haustra will start contracting. To do what? To do what? And this is why it happens. Here is why. Absorb what? What is absorbed in the large intestine? Very important. Water and sodium. Water and sodium. All right, you got this? Why water and sodium, guys? Because if this process was not happening, you know what will happen? You will have diarrhea every day. Feces full of water. That's it. So what do we need to do in the colon? We need to absorb the water back to our bodies because we need them. The feces, they don't need them. They need a little bit, but we absorb most of it out. And why Na, guys? Why sodium? Now here's a rule, keep it with you until you graduate, guys. See, sodium, because there's a lot of sodium in our bodies and we use a lot of sodium, you know why, depolarization and whatnot. So wherever sodium goes, water follows. Water is like, I don't want to say something bad about water or this water because water is a good guy. We need him, okay? But he has a weak character. Water, it just follows sodium. So sodium goes here. You know what water does? It goes with it, follows it immediately. And we can't absorb water except by this mechanism, which we pull the sodium. What will happen to water? Come with it. And we'll talk about this also. This is a concept you have to keep, and it's a fixed rule. Wherever you go, sodium goes, water goes. All right. So we need to absorb. How does this help in absorption? This helps in absorption because the contraction, the tinea alba. You took it in anatomy lab, hopefully. The tinea alba will contract. When it contracts, the haustra will start forming. This haustra will catch on. Each haustra will catch a feces. And when it catches a feces, I told you, when you hold onto something, there is now more surface area exposed to the channels. So more sodium will be absorbed, more water will be absorbed. This makes things easier. But you have to know some facts also, some facts. You have to know that this happens only in the ascending colon and transverse colon. It does not happen in descending colon or the sigmoid or the rectum. Another thing you have to keep in mind is that this is not for movement. Not movement. Okay, but now you'll tell me, Ibraheem, you said not movement, and when we eat, haustra contractions happen. But we need to accommodate for the chyme in the ileum. We need to throw it in the colon. How does haustra contraction not move things? Why? What moves things? Now you'll ask me this question. What makes the chyme or feces in the, for example, ascending colon move to the transverse and descending colon? This is another concept, another thing. And this is what you call the big contractions or large contraction, mass movements. The mass movement is another concept in the large colon, in the large intestine, in the colon. And here's some facts. It happens in the T colon, transverse colon, and descending colon. Its purpose or why it happens to move stuff. Move stuff. This one's purpose is to absorb water and sodium. So now you should be able to answer any question that you find regarding these two concepts, but we're not done yet. We have to look at some more details and some more concepts that are very cool concepts regarding these two things. Now, I told you about everything, same system. I will keep going through the slides. You will find that I said almost everything. So this is the house law. It's slower, but it's stronger. Because, you know, it's slow because large intestine, it's slow. So it takes its time in absorption, and it's stronger because the feces is heavy. So it needs to be stronger than a small intestine. I told you this in the lecture before. Contraction is similar to the small intestine, circular muscles, they contract, right? The mixing. See, I said this before, I saw it. And it's sluggish movement because it's slow. So there's nothing really, no movement really here. And you see, it goes back and forth, back and forth. It gets mixed here and here. It gets absorbed. Nothing really happens regarding movement. And see, notice this stops at the transverse colon. It does not go to the descending colon. No way. House for contraction, guys. If you say descending colon, out. It doesn't happen in the descending colon. Okay. Okay, now we will look at this, and I'm pretty sure you guys were like, what is highest BAR? What is 8, 11, 11, 11, 17? Why is this? Okay, look at this cool concept. And now we will ask a question. You will again ask a question. I hope you guys are thinking the same way I'm thinking. We said that in the small intestine, segmentation does move food. Okay, Ibraheem, you are saying stuff that are contradicting each other. It's not contradicting. Listen to this concept. Segmentation in small intestine, okay, focus very well. In small intestine, the cycles that happen in the duodenum are higher than the cycles that happen in the ileum. So the food will move toward lower gradient. We established this concept and we all agree on this concept. But what about the large intestine? You notice that there's 11, 11, 11, 11 everywhere. So they're just equal. Will the food really move? No, because contraction here. So it's like, again, this bottle cap, you contract this, it goes here. You contract this back, it goes here. Back and forth, back and forth. Whereas in the intestine, small intestine, this one is contracting twice or 3 times, moving this like back here. And then this goes back 1 time. 3 to 3 times, go back 1 time. This is how you should understand it. That it's slower. Yes, it's slower. That's one thing. The other thing is that, and why is it slower? Because there is no gradient. It does not move things. To move things, there should be gradient, higher gradient of contractions to lower gradient of contraction. But if the contractions are equal, you know, if you just keep squeezing a ball from both sides, it will not move. But if you squeeze it harder from one side, it will move. This is exactly how you should understand it. So this is the Hausler contraction. Okay, now you also might have noticed a very important thing here. 17 at the rectum. Whoa, wait. 17 at the rectum. And he told us, Ibrahim, I said this. Yes, I said stuff move from higher gradient of contraction to lower gradient of contraction. Wait, does that mean feces in the rectum, they go back to the intestine? I can tell you, don't be too silly, but yes and no. Let me explain. Look at this. Look at this. This is a cool concept. It's a very cool concept. I love it. And without it, guys, we will be lost. So we said at the end it's 17 at the rectum. So this is the rectum. And you know the rectum, guys, it's like the final destination for the feces. After the rectum, it's over. Okay? So we have to be careful with this. Now this is the rectum. And I know this doesn't look so much like an intestine, but it is an intestine, large intestine. This is the large intestine, okay? This is the rectum. Now, here there is a higher gradient of contractions happening. Why? I want someone who's Einstein to tell me, why do we need this in our bodies? And what would happen if we don't have this in our bodies? Now, I know you're not supposed to know this as you know now, but you should know this after I tell you why. But I need someone to just try to think about it, try to make sense out of things and tell me why. If you can't, I'll just say, can someone tell me why? Yes, no. Okay, it seems that you don't want to, put in the effort. You want to focus and say, okay, because of the defecation. Someone said because of the defecation. This guy is smart, I can say, or this girl, whatever. But because of defecation, what exactly? Defecation, what? Like, what do you mean by because? It's like a very vague political answer. Give them time. Yes, I'm giving them time. Okay, yeah, sure. I'll wait 30 more seconds and see who can get the answer right. Okay, time's up, guys. I'll tell you why. I know the suspense is too much, it's too high. I'll tell you why. Imagine, just imagine this. If the gradient of contraction in the rectum was less or equal to the contraction in the colon, what will happen? As soon as a movement starts to happen, you will get the urge to defecate, and Allah, you will even defecate. Can you imagine this? You will start defecating, without even the need to. You will be it will be harder for you to hold for dear life. When you get the urge to defecate, you hold, right? And when you hold, it goes away for like a moment, it comes back again. But why does it go away? What makes it go away? It's this. It's the rectum. The rectum is too powerful in contractions. It has more gradient of contraction to push the feces back to the sigmoid colon. Not too far, guys. Not too far up. Just to the sigmoid until here it stops. To the sigmoid colon. And notice how, mashallah and subhanallah, how our body is designed in a beautiful way. There's this sigmoid colon. It's like this, sits on muscles just to accommodate the feces, so that not every time you get the urge to defecate, you defecate. And I will talk about more stuff. It's not involuntary, but it will be hard for you to hold the feces in your colon. It will be hard, really, you will struggle. You will not get the retrograde, because when you get the urge to go to the bathroom, you will hold it, and when you hold it, it will go away, right? The feeling will go away. We all agree on this because we all have the same feeling. We're humans. But then it comes back later, right? But this feeling, how did it go away? It went away with this concept because the retrograde happens. The rectum will push it so strong back to the sigmoid so that the feces does not stay there. If it stays there, guys, you will struggle to live with a feces in your colon. So every time there's a feces, you will not do anything unless you go to the bathroom. This is why we have this concept, subhanallah. And this is why I love GI, guys. See, everything makes sense. Everything is there to protect you. Everything is there to help you in your life. And then you say you hate GIT, like, what's wrong with you guys? Come on. I'm just kidding. It's fine. You can hate it, but like, it's interesting, guys. Let's continue with this. So this is telling you the same thing. The frequency is highest in rectum. Okay, we'll talk more about this stuff. We talked about segmentation and peristalsis, or the Hausdorff movements. Where do they happen? Ascending and transverse colon. After this, what will happen? Propulsion. Propulsion or peristalsis, which is the movement, the actual movement or the mass movements, they happen in the transverse and descending colon. So everything I said is there. Okay. The Hausdorff contraction, again, here it's telling you that the feces is fluid at the ascending colon. When it becomes the transverse, it becomes mush. Why did it change? Because we are absorbing water from it and sodium, so it becomes more solid, more solid, more solid as we move on. Here it becomes semi-solid, here it's the most solid, and then defecate. Here it's telling you that we'll talk about this later, the poor motility and excess motility. We'll talk about this at the end because there is a clinical relevance to this, okay? I promise you guys, talk about everything. So this one's saying like dietary fiber and colon transit time. So we have to know a fact. Let's just establish some facts and build on them. So fiber is good for you. Fact. We know this, but why? Have you ever questioned why? First of all, the bacteria in the stomach, colon, in your colon, it likes the fiber, and that's a good thing because the bacteria in your colon, it helps you actually. If you try to think if this bacteria is harmful, it's not. It's actually good for you. What's the catch here? This bacteria, it's like giving you a trade deal. It tells you, okay, I will live in your colon. I will feed on your feces. In exchange, I will protect your colon. So these bacteria, they protect us from other harmful bacteria. They're like defending us from them. So the fiber, it will help these bacteria function efficiently. Efficiently in what? These bacteria and the fiber to your guts, it will help you to increase your stool weight, which is a good thing, and I'll tell you why it's a good thing in a second. And decrease the time that your feces is in what? In your colon. Why? I'll tell you why. Look at this. This is also a cool concept of how your colon is trying to help you, and why is fiber good for you, and why eating a balanced diet is important for you. So this is the colon. Okay, this is part of the colon. Say this is the transverse colon. There is a stool here. Now it's becoming a stool, or let's call it feces. It's the stool when it's out. Okay. So this feces, it has undigested carbohydrates, some proteins, some lipids. So there are facts that they establish that when this feces stays for a long time in your colon, the bacteria will start metabolizing protein. When they metabolize protein, what will what will happen? What will be excreted? Gases, some gases, and sulfur. And this is, guys, the nasty smell. Believe it or not. I'm sorry to start talking about physics and all that, guys. We need to understand the science behind this. But this is the nasty smell. And for all my gym bros out there, if you ever questioned when you eat 200 grams of protein and then you go home, you like, why did I just obliterate the bathroom? It smells nasty. What is this? Is something wrong? Yes, your diet is unbalanced. It's just protein. I'm not saying protein is bad. I love protein, guys. We all love protein. Who doesn't want chicken or meat and this stuff? Shawarma, amazing. Tastes good. It's good for your body, good for your muscles. But if you just eat protein with no carbohydrates, with no fibers, you're doomed. I'm telling you, your bacteria, the gut bacteria will find nothing to eat, so they will just start feeding on the protein and excreting nasty stuff you don't want, and sometimes toxic, which harm you. So what to do instead? Eat fiber. What will fiber do? Fiber will will form the feces in a way that it will move smoothly in your colon. When it moves smoothly in your colon, the bacteria will shift on what? Will feed on what? Will feed on the carbohydrates, like fruits. I love this mentality. Yes, like fruits. Amazing. Thank you so much. Like fruits. Fiber is found in fruit, of course, and vegetables. So when there's fiber, let's talk, because I explained too much. I feel like you guys got lost. Okay, here is the feces. Time, weight. Just like, okay, I just WEG for weight. Time. Let's actually erase this. So more weight is better for you. I didn't tell you why, but I'll tell you why in a second. More weight is better for you. This is better for you. Less time, less time is better for you than long time. Why is long time not good for you? Because the bacteria will start metabolizing protein. What are other cases the bacteria will metabolize protein? When there is no carbohydrate. So you need to have a balanced diet of carbohydrate, protein, fiber, so that the feces don't stay there for a long time, so that your bacteria eat the protein and have some carbohydrates with not excessive protein to do what? To also not shift the bacteria to the protein metabolism, so that you don't get the toxic stuff and the nasty smells, hopefully. Now, for the weight has not so much research, but it has been proved that more weight is better for you, because think about the disease, situations where you have less weight of feces. Where do you have less weight? In diarrhea, you have like small segments of feces, which is less weight per stool, so that's pathologic. Where do you also have less weight of stool? Constipation. Constipation will also defecate small pieces of stool, which is also bad for you. So big weight is like one go, one chunk, clean and easy and nice, soft, smooth, everything you want to call it. This is why fiber is good for you. And this, I just explained like 2 to 3 slides. This one, and this is telling you the substances that are from protein fermentation, and these are the gases excreted. And this is why you have to eat fiber. Imagine the carbohydrate and protein fermentation sit there for a long time. You will be bloated. This is why fiber is good when you're constipated, so you don't get bloated, and the stool will just pass easily in your colon, or the feces will pass easily in your colon, and the stool will pass easily through the anus. So it's good for you. See, fiber is good. When you read this, it's basically what I said, but I found there's some unclear concept. I just clarified them. I hope so. And we can move on to the transporters. I told you guys, sodium is very important for water absorption, but now when you look at this, you will be like diffusion via ENaC, driving force, blah blah. You don't understand anything. Like, what is this? I got you again. Look at this. Look at this. Also, guys, if you have any like feedback or anything I'm doing that you're not liking, please let me know. Like, please let me know before it's too late, or before I just keep explaining in a not nice way, because I know I keep drawing stuff. I hope this drawing is helping you, okay? Okay, so you have first ENaC, this is the epithelium. ENaC, what is ENaC? ENaC epithelial, Na for sodium, C for channels. That's it. That's the abbreviation. But what does it do? I'll explain a very nice thing. Let me, okay. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, 1 channel, 2 channel, 3 channels. Okay. Now, how's the contraction happen? So this is like the stuff in your body. How's the contraction happen? It will absorb the water and the sodium. The sodium will go from here, and A is in. So it increased inside. Now you need something to decrease Na. What is this? NAK pump, NAK ATPase pump. It will kick Na out, Na, drive potassium in. Okay. Okay, but there's now too much potassium. So what do? Potassium is increased. We take this potassium, we have another channel. Let's erase this thing, this thing. We have another channel, which is the K channel. It just takes this K, kicks it out. Clear? What are the other two channels? We know this channel is just directly gets Na in and then kicks Na out, gets potassium back in, kicks potassium out. And by the way, also another question. What is this? This is the interstitium, and this is the blood. This is the blood. This is the interstitium. Interstitium is the space between the cells and the blood. And then the blood will take these electrolytes and go with them. That's why you need them. That's very important. What are the other two channels? They're also epithelial sodium channels. They're like, okay, we can also get sodium by another ways. What are the other ways? Co-transporters. You guys have been familiar with co-transporters. They take Na in, they kick H out. Okay, let's put H. H is the hydrogen ion, it's a hydrogen ion, yes. It's the acidic ion. They kick it out. We don't need much of it. We need to regulate it very carefully. So this is a nice way to regulate sodium and also hydrogen. This sodium again will be in the pump out. We can also get sodium using another way. Another co-transporter. This the last co-transporter, which is this one. It gets S is a substrate, anything co-transporter with sodium. This is an anti-transport or symporter. With symporter, I'm not sure of the names, but this is like anti-transport is the opposite, and then this is co because they're going together. Okay, substrate could be glucose. The glucose with sodium could be, I think, other stuff. Yes, there's like other substrate. You can just get them with sodium. This is what's happening in the colon. Like, see, very easy. Then there is one important thing that I didn't talk about. Aldosterone. Aldosterone is your friend that you will keep studying until this year. We took it in GI, which is now. We took it in CVP. We took it in renal. We took it in endorepro. It's a very important hormone, but it's very easy to understand what happens with this hormone. This hormone, all it does is that it upregulates sodium channels. So when this hormone comes in, this hormone will activate gene transcription to increase sodium channels. See, more sodium channels, more sodium channels, more sodium, more sodium, more sodium. And this usually happens when there's low blood pressure, when there is less electrolytes. But you don't need to know much about this aldosterone. You're going to take it anyways. But it's just written there, so I said I should explain it for you guys, okay? This is its job. I hope that makes it clear. Guys, everything clear so far? Am I going too fast, too slow, anything? Is everything good? I hope everything is good, okay? If you have any questions, you can stop me anytime and ask me. It's fine. All good? Amazing. That's very nice. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay, we have talked about the propulsion or the peristalsis, because propulsion means to push things out. So peristalsis, the mass movements, they're very big but slow movements from the transverse colon to the descending colon and the sigmoid. They push things out to the sigmoid. Sorry, transverse to the descending, not sigmoid. They push things to the sigmoid or the feces. So they push it, you see, 20 centimeters. That is a strong contraction. That's a very strong contraction. They push it all the way to the sigmoid. I'll explain this. I talked about this. See, all of this I explained because the information I got is from here. I did not go to external resources. Everything I explained is from here. And the retrograde, I talked about this, where you don't want to defecate, so the retrograde movements happen. And this is just showing you. So barium is a liquid that when they usually give to patients when they want to examine their digestive tract. So they just give them orally. And this barium, it lights up when on imaging in lab, like MRI, I think, yeah, an MRI. So they will look at the feces that are containing barium. What will happen to them? Where will they go? Now, as we know, the gastroileal between the gastroileal where the ileum will push things out to the colon. This is happening. They observed it. That's how they got the things, and that's how they know. Gastrocolic reflex, which I also explained, where the in the colon, in the transverse colon, there is this tension, right? Because things are being pushed out and things are being contracted. Household contractions are contracting things, increasing the pressure. And here there is some feces. This feces will cause mechanical receptors to go and tell your nervous system, come, give me some chemicals, I need to contract. This is a gastrocolic reflex, and also when you eat, so push things toward the descending colon and then the sigmoid. So the gastrocolic, again, gastrocolic, it happens in the transverse and the descending colon. And then when it reaches the, as you can see here, this is the sigmoid and the rectum, you will get distension of the rectum, urge to defecate. So distension of the rectum, also the same concept. See, I told you guys distension, we'll talk about it so much. This is the rectum again. So this rectum, it will get distended again. We said this is nerve, central nervous system. Which nerve, guys? Which nerve? Someone tell me which nerve. It's written in your slide, by the way, so I didn't ask you if it's not written. Which nerve innervates the rectum and is responsible for the reflex here? Do you guys know? Vagus? No, not Vagus. Vagus is up. The rectum is very, very, very down. So think pelvic splanchnic nerves, okay? You will find, I will show you the name of it. It's pelvic nerves. Splanchnic means it means like GI stuff. Okay. So it's a pelvic nerve. It comes back. What will it do to the rectum? Contract? Yes. Contract the rectum, contract the sigmoid, relax the internal anal sphincter. I said internal. That's a brilliant name, by the way. It's better than their names. But anyway, internal anal sphincter. It will relax it, so opens it up. But luckily, alhamdulillah, we have this muscle, which is the external anal sphincter, which you hold for your dear life. This is where you hold for your dear life so that you don't defecate. This is controlled voluntarily by you. And also, our body is sometimes smart. So sometimes, or actually all the times, our body adapted when it's inconvenient for us to defecate, and there is feces in the rectum, and the rectum is relaxing, the sigmoid is relaxing, feces are falling down, the internal anal sphincter is relaxing, the external anal sphincter will contract to stop everything and do what? The retrograde reflex, so that you don't defecate at inconvenient times. Like imagine you're just sitting or hanging out, chilling, and then just suddenly defecate. That's a disaster. We don't want this. That's a big disaster. So alhamdulillah, we have this muscle. It's a very, very strong muscle with high pressure, with high intensity, so that it can hold for its dear life. Imagine you have like KFC there, and this muscle, just falls, but it won't fail. Alhamdulillah, it's a strong muscle. That's why it's strong, because we eat bad food too much. It has to be strong. Anyway, this is, I explained all of this. This is I just explained this also. I explained the slides, continence defecation. The continence means the accommodation. The pieces are accommodated there. And we talked about internal and external sphincters. Rectal motility. So I told you that as a reflex of this tension, the internal anal sphincter will relax. It's involuntary, so you don't control it. But alhamdulillah, you control the external sphincter, which is striated voluntarily. So you control this. Now, in normal cases, they're both constricted. In normal cases, but when this tension happens, you will accept the external. It's usually empty, yeah, because we don't have the urge to defecate all the time. The rectum is normally usually empty, so everything is just closed. Now, when mass movements happen and you feel and the feces is moved to the rectum and you get the urge to defecate, now you will see everything will open up except the external sphincters to accommodate, and there is retrograde, because we said, guys, the rectum is very strong and it contracts things back when you don't get the urge to defecate. Okay. This is a concept. Now, you might have get the question in your head. If wait, what is this? What is even that? Okay, this is the rectum. This is sigmoid colon. Okay, and this is internal sphincter. The external will be red. This is the external sphincter. Okay. Now I know that I told you guys when there is feces here. See this little piece of doo-doo? It will distend the rectum. You know the reflex here, the defecation reflex this time. This is the brainstem. Come back, relax everything except the external sphincter, which you control, and it will be constricted. Don't worry about this. You're good. Now you will tell me, okay. Now, of course, wait before I go. When it's closed, your body will understand that you don't want to defecate, so your rectum will push things back to the sigmoid. This will be pushed back to the sigmoid. Okay, right now. It will be pushed back to sigmoid until it's convenient for you to defecate. When it's convenient for you to defecate. Now, this is what I want to talk about. When it's convenient for you to defecate, how do you defecate? Like if everything is pushing, if your external sphincter, let's put the facts here. External sphincter, this is preventing you from defecating. X sphincter, this is not your X sphincter, this is the external sphincter. What else? The high contractions in the rectum. I just say high BEP. No, wait, what BEP? BER. Oh my God. I have a BEP exam next week, so okay, BER, high BER, and in the rectum. And there's a very important thing. There is this slingshot little guy. I did not just curse. I said slingshot. Slingshot is a thing, so don't think I just cursed. What is this? I'll show you a very cool muscle. It's the puborectalis. 1 second. This is the puborectalis. Wait, I need to open this in a. I closed the whole thing. I'm sorry. I need to show you the picture of the puborectalis. Okay, there it is. You guys see the puborectalis, right? You guys see it. This is the puborectalis muscle. As you can see, it holds your rectum and makes a 90-degree angle. Why? Because when the feces is going down, it will hit the rectum, not hit the opening immediately. If it hits the opening, this will make it so likely to go out. And we don't want this. We don't want embarrassment in front of our friends, you know, in front of our favorite people and that. We don't want this. This is terrible. So your slingshot muscle or the puborectalis muscle, it looks like a slingshot. It helps you. So when we go back here, we will run right. Go to the little thing we're writing, working on here. Okay. This is the puborectalis. Oh God, sorry. So what is the puborectalis doing? It's protecting, or these three are protecting you from defecating in an inconvenient situation. Okay, we know that these things are protecting you. External sphincter, which you close, the high contraction in the rectum, and the puborectalis. Right. Now you go to the bathroom. You want to defecate. خلاص. You said, okay, this is my time. You go back home from school, you sit, relax on the toilet, and you open up everything. Now, of course, there are some stuff that you have to do. The feces in your rectum or sigmoid, they will not move unless there is an elicited movement on them. What does that mean? This means something has to move them. Okay. Now you'll be like, but no one goes in there and no one, you know, it's like, what moves them, Ibraheem? What are you saying? Wait, guys. Wait. It's a convenient way, and we all do it. And it's called the Valsalva maneuver. Have you guys heard of the Valsalva maneuver? This Valsalva maneuver, it's just a fancy name. I don't know why they like fancy names, but it's just a high pressure in your abdomen. So when you go to the bathroom and sit, you do this. Why you do this? You are squeezing on your stomach to push the feces in your rectum out. So this is your body, this is your arms, and this is where the large intestine is. This is the feces. You're sitting, chilling there, and this is you. Put a red face because you're, giving it your all to push this feces out. The pressure in your stomach will increase and will push everything out, right? To push things out because you're flexing your abs, increasing, go out, and this is how you elicit a movement. So This is one way. Let's start in a professional way. Valsalva maneuver. I don't know how it's spelled. Just like Valsalva. I don't know if there's an L. I don't know how to spell it. Okay. I just know that it exists, and I know what it is. Maneuver. Maneuver. And the other thing that also helps you to defecate is, I'll show you something. I can't tell you this, but I have to demonstrate for you. Okay, I have to not demonstrate, show you in the slides. Whew, almost. Okay. We'll come back to this. So just let me show you something first. Let me show you something really cool here. I think we explained everything here. So this, yes, this, exactly this. So you see, when you squat, the puborectalis muscle will relax. So the puborectalis muscle will relax. Puborectalis, the position, the physical position of it will be away. The rectum will be straight. So we'll put in between parentheses that the rectum is now no longer 90 degrees. There is no angle. It's now straight. We'll put STR and 8. See, this is brilliant. Wow. And you relax your external sphincter. Now you want to defecate. So you squeeze, you sit, and you open up for the feces to come out. So external sphincter again. This is where you relax. We'll put relaxation, relax, and here relax. And here you are contracting some muscles like your abs, diaphragm. The diaphragm, it's just a muscle. Don't worry about it. It will contract. What about here? Here, everything is, this is contracted, this is contracting, this is contracting. And also, in both cases, your sigmoid and your rectum will initially relax. Here, it will contract again. Here, it will stay relaxed. When there is this tension now and it's relaxed and you don't put pressure again on it, it will just keep going. The flow will keep going. So this is how you elicit a movement. So if someone asks you, how do you elicit a movement and you defecate? You tell him Valsalva maneuver, the way you sit and you open up for the feces. You open what? External sphincter. Now let's go back and go through the slide. As I told you, I want you to know what Dr. Peter wants you to know, not only to understand. I want you to have both things. Okay. So we covered the slides. And there is the little thing I did not talk about, which is suppositories. So suppositories are drugs or pills that you take in the anus. Okay. I know it's inconvenient, but sometimes you have to, because of some advantages, you take it. We're taking it now, which is pharmacokinetics and whatnot. It's just, he put it there. I don't know if you have to know it or not, but I explain it for you. That the rectoparalysis, it helps to avoid defecation in an inconvenient place. So now you know, if you get a question, how does accommodation and rectoparalysis help? You tell him, okay, rectoparalysis help by inhibiting defecation when it's inconvenient, and suppositories, drug delivery, because they put the drug in the anus and then from there it will be pushed back to the colon and then absorbed. That's cool. We all agree. Everything I explained, guys, do you all understand it? Because I explained everything. Now you just see small stuff in addition to it. Did you get what I said? Everything. Can you repeat? Yes. What do you want me to repeat? I'll repeat for you. Just tell me and I'll repeat for you. The last part, yes. So the last part, I was talking about the suppositories. Suppositories. I hate names. Okay, suppositories are pills that you put in the anus, and then from the anus, it will go to the colon to get absorbed. In Arabic, we call it tahamil. Now, you might be more familiar with this term because we don't use the word suppositories very often. We just know that it exists. When you put the pill in the anus, we said retroperistalsis, or the high pressure in the rectum, will push this drug to where? To the colon. So when someone asks you in your exam, say you got or maybe your family member, it asks you, okay, you tell you, okay, Ahmed, so you said retroperistalsis is in our rectum. How does that help? You tell him, okay, uncle, listen here. So retroperistalsis helps because it inhibits defecation and at inconvenient times. So when there is feces and you don't want to defecate, you put pressure from an external sphincter, the feces will go back to the colon by the rectoperistalsis from the rectum. And it also helps when you use drugs in the anus so that they get pushed back to the colon. And this is how this helps you. And this is why I also love you. I say it so much. I say it so much times, guys. I love this block. It's amazing, man. Look at everything makes sense, right? Everything makes sense. Tell me if something didn't make sense, I'll go back to it. I want you to love this block. I want you to feel the same way I feel, because this is all interesting. Okay, let's go to this. It's just small little facts. We're talking about levels of pieces here. So the rectum contracts, you know, when the defecation reflex, because the rectum wants to push things out, to contract, push things out. Internal sphincter will relax. External sphincter will contract when you don't want to defecate, and it's just via the pudendal nerve. When you don't want to defecate, the rectum will do what? Relax again. Okay, someone said there, thanks, you make me love GIT. I love this. This is very sweet now. I love this. When someone tells me this, it's a motivation. Thank you. And I'm glad you love GIT now. Or like more love to GIT. Okay. So rectum at first is passive, it becomes more active. You know, the more intense feces, more intense reflex. And it's just something you feel, right? When you hold for a long time, it becomes more and more and more and more. And internal sphincter, internal anal sphincter become more relaxed, and the external sphincter will become more contracting. So you're fighting and trying to survive for your dear life. Like the rectum will be like, bro, come on, and your external sphincter will be like, no, stop. And the internal sphincter just, guys, I'm out of this. Don't even tell me. It's just relaxed. You know, it's just relaxed. Doesn't want to get involved. The rectum is trying to push things out. External sphincter or you are trying to slow things down until you reach the bathroom. This is when it becomes very intense. And this is just the hormones, this is on the nerve, it's some facts here. This is exactly what I said. If there's something I did not mention, let me know. I will explain it again. Don't worry. So the reflex arc, we've said this many times. The distension is one of the ways all the GIT works. So rectal distension, what will it do? Let's take it step by step. So rectal distension, it will relax the internal anal sphincter, right? You agree with this? Internal anal sphincter, it will relax it. So you want to pass feces. But it will also, I told you this, that your body is smart. It knows that now is not a convenient time to defecate. So it will what? Contract the external anal sphincter. Now the voluntary control, when it's convenient, you relax and you defecate. So you see this minus, you relax the external anal sphincter. And when it's inconvenient, you voluntarily also contract this muscle to continence or accommodation, to accommodate. Muhammad Haddad isn't had. Yes, man. Hello, Muhammad. Hello, Haddad. You can ask me a question.
How does rectal distension do opposite effects on the internal anal sphincter and external anal sphincter? Like, how does it know what to do on each one?
Okay, because, okay, first of all, your body adapts. Your nervous system adapts. And you know that it's inconvenient to defecate now. So it's just built, subhanAllah, that this reflex will go in the efferent neuron, right? Sorry, afferent, and will come towards using the efferent neuron. The efferent neuron, it does, and it knows what it's doing. And plus, the external sphincter is voluntarily controlled by you. So your body, with time, because you're not a baby now, you're an adult, young boy or a man, you know that when are the times that it's inconvenient for you to defecate and convenient for you to defecate. So your body will adapt to this and will always constrict your external sphincter in addition to your voluntarily control on it. So you can also always train your body. Thank you for your question.
Okay, sweet. Thank you.
You're sweet. Okay. So defecation reflex, we talked about this, and we said that if afferent fibers, they sense the tension, they sense the chemicals, they come back and they contract the rectum, relax the internal sphincter, contract the external sphincter, and you contract the external sphincter when it's inconvenient. I'm saying this again and again, and when it's convenient, you relax it. Here it's telling you the pelvic nerve. I told you the pelvic nerve, pelvic splanchnic nerve, which innervates the descending colon, the rectum. Know the nerves, guys. The nerves are important for OSP. They asked us a couple of nerves, some in the colon, so know them. And for the external sphincter, it's the pudendal nerve. So it has a name. Do graphs actually come in the exam? What do you mean graphs? Graphs? No, I don't think you will get graphs, especially in physiology. I don't think you get graphs. If you mean the graphs I just explained, so no. External sphincter is innervated by the pudendal nerve. So to memorize it, then pudendal nerve, external sphincter. Graphs, no, they don't get graphs. They didn't get for us. OSP is anatomy. It's all anatomy and histology, of course. In the SAQ, you never get graphs. Neither in the MCQ. You might get the graphs as in how much effect and how much outcome, but it's different lecture, depends on the lecture, right? So just know and understand everything, and you will be able to tackle any question. Don't worry about it. Okay. This is another fact that sympathetics do not contribute. And to prove this, where did I, in any step of my lecture, say that sympathetic nervous system is doing something? I never said sympathetic does anything. So sympathetic in the defecation reflex, it does absolutely nothing. It's the parasympathetic and the enteric nervous system. So the sympathetic does not do anything. Zero. Okay. And it's sitting down for you here. Active defecation, sympathetic, it never does anything. This is a summary. Again, this is how you defecate or start the act of defecation. I'll show you this on the, yes, here. So mass movement. There's mass movement. The feces is going down. Defecation reflex. What's the stimulus? Okay, now guys, stay with me. Wake up. The tension is the stimulus. Response, contraction in the rectum. The sigmoid to push the feces down. Then the internal sphincter will relax, but the external will contract when it's inconvenient. All right? Which you trained it, which you always contract. Now, when there's an increased pressure in the rectum, and you want to delay the defecation process because now you're at a meeting or you're at a family gathering, you don't want to defecate where you're sitting. You want to go to the bathroom, so we want to delay this. I mean, hopefully. So contraction of external sphincter, contraction of the puborectalis, that was the sling muscle that we talked about, because it pulls the rectum, so it will make a space for the feces to sit on without putting pressure on your anus from inside. And reverse peristalsis in the rectum. The rectum will reverse peristalsis when it's inconvenient and push the feces back to the sigmoid colon so that you accommodate the feces. Defecation process, when you want to defecate now, you will relax the external sphincter, you will relax the puborectalis, basically the opposite, and forward peristalsis will happen in the rectum. How? Because you did the Valsalva maneuver. I know someone will ask me, okay, why forward, why there backward? Because you elicited a movement, which is the Valsalva maneuver. It's sitting down there and increases abdominal pressure, so everything will go down. The rectum will contract down. The internal sphincter is relaxed, external sphincter is relaxed, puborectalis is relaxed. Very simple. All right. This is a summary for everything I said. And now this is, yes. Now I told you I'll put this at the end, so I'll explain this again. So we did say this, right? We said that the colon absorbs water. Now, just think about it. If the feces is in the colon for a very long time, it keeps absorbing water. Is that is that constipation or diarrhea? Please tell me. First, you know what constipation is, right? Constipation is when the feces is dried and it's like very dried out, when it stays there for a long time. I just told you the answer, okay? I just told you the answer. So poor motility will result in the feces being in the colon for a very long time. So the colon will absorb so much water, excess absorption, that the feces will now be very dried, very hard, and it will hurt. And this is not good. The process will be hard. Thank you so much. Thank you. This is a good answer. The process will be hard, yes, because the feces is now dry. It's hard. It might even result in anal bleeding. It might result in anal bleeding, and it happens, or infection, because it will keep rubbing on the anus in a very, the fraction will be so much, so it might get cut and then infected. It's bad. What about excess motility? If the feces went very fast to the colon, it's like very fast, what will happen? The colon is not having enough time to absorb the water. There is no time to absorb it. Like, bro, I didn't even absorb water yet. You're out already, but it will be out as what? And we saw the semi-fluid to be out as what? Diarrhea now. So now it will be like very watery, literally, because it's diarrhea, and there is no absorption that happened because the motility was very high. And these two cases are not normal. They are not normal. They are disease or pathological. So usually happens when there is a problem in your ENaC, E for epithelial, Na, sodium, C channels. Because these channels, they absorb water. If they're not there or something is wrong with them from a disease or from an infection, the motility will either be poor or excess, and it depends on the situation, okay? I mean, to be more or less. Okay, now this is some clinical manifestations here. It's an achalasia. Achalasia means obstruction. Sorry, obstruction, mega esophagus. So the problem here is that the enteric nervous system is destroyed. And for some reason, the reason the Dr. People said is autoimmune response. And he put a question mark because usually these stuff are idiopathic. Idiopathic means that we don't know the reason. So we just put a fancy words just to do not sound like we don't know. We just say idiopathic. I'm just kidding. Okay. And it's usually autoimmune. The enteric nervous system is now damaged. So we saw how important the enteric nervous system is. So if it's damaged, this means there is no contraction, there is no inhibitory control. So the esophagus will kind of be, it doesn't know what to do. It's like almost closed, but not fully closed. And when things come through it, they will distend it, they will harm it. There will be weak peristalsis, there will be obstruction, and it's a problem. Okay, so it's a problem. Dr. Peter did not talk about like much here. He just told you that it happens in lower esophagus, as you can see, weak peristalsis. So there's dilated esophagus now, distension because it's building up, and there is nothing to relax the sphincter, which is from the ENS, right? And another thing, it's normally constricted. So if the ANS is not there to relax it, it will stay constricted and it will harm the esophagus because it will be dilated. Okay. Hirschsprung's disease feels like I'm in a movie. Hirschsprung, it's a cool name. It's a cool name, but it's not a cool situation because it's a disease and we don't like disease. So it's a congenital. Congenital means it happened at birth. I don't know why I highlighted this anyway. To the megacolon means the colon will become big. Why? So in Hirschsprung disease, there is also damage or lack of ENS in the bowel or in the large intestine, in the colon. There is no ENS. And if there is no ENS, again, we know how important the ENS is. The feces will just stay there. The feces will be like, okay, no movement, no mass movement, no hamstring contractions. The feces is just chilling there. And feces again, build up. And as you can see, afana afakunullah, a very, very big colon, mega colon. This is what's happening. Right? And this is, he said you don't have to know, but look at how many 12 kilograms of feces removed. He had constipation since childhood. Allah yafina and Allah infana بعلمنا. And thank you all for attending. Thank you so much. I hope I made the concepts of motility very clear. Just know I tried my best. If anything is not clear, I will repeat. And keep us in your prayers, please. And thank you so much again. Thank you. You're welcome. You can ask me anytime. You can reach me out if you want. You can ask me now. If anything is not, can you give us an idea on what to focus on for the exam? Okay. Thanks, Hassan. I love you too, man. All right. So an idea about the exam. Let's talk about the exam a little bit. For the exam, physiology, it's surprisingly very easy. Now, when I say very easy, I don't mean you don't have to study. No, you have to study everything. But easy as in that questions will be very direct. Like Dr. Peter, he doesn't like playing around. And here's a secret between you and me, guys. Here's a secret. Dr. Peter will get a lot of repeated questions. So solve the previous past questions very carefully. Practice. Practice is very important. That's for physiology. As for anatomy, study everything. I don't have tips for anatomy, especially that they change your doctor. If it was the same, Dr. Akif, he also gets very straightforward questions. Dr. Khalid also gets very straightforward questions. So GIT exams are usually like, they're usually straightforward, right? If you study and if you know the information, you will answer.